Should be live here. Testing. Testing 1, 2. Should be live here. Testing. What's up? Hello, Snapple and Cats. What's up, Steven? Whoa. Welcome to Livestream Sunday. Once again, my weekly Q&A live stream. Super chill, super casual. Hello, Tanya. Hello, Michelle. I'm okay today. Once again, it's a kind of a gloomy day outside, which always kind of bums me out. It's like all rainy and stuff. By the way, can everybody hear me okay? And see me okay? Is there a lot of noise? I have a fan on because it's kind of hot, but I tested it earlier and it seemed like it wasn't picking up that much in the mic, because the fan is like behind the mic, and if the mic doesn't pick it up that much from that side. Also, like, I went out on Friday night and kind of had too much to drink, so I was like hungover all day yesterday. And my hangovers are pretty bad, and it usually takes me like a couple of days to be back to 100%. So I'm still feeling that a little bit, but overall I'm good. And it's like hot in my room right now for some reason. I don't even think it's hot outside. Well, it's almost 70 degrees. I guess that's something. Now, hair of the dog does not work for me. That just makes me like more sick. And it's not even a thing I like desire to do anyway. Like, when I'm like hungover, the very last thing that I want to do is drink more. It's just not even remotely something that I want. Coffee is good though. Coffee is very good when I'm nursing a hangover. I agree with that one. For me, it's like coffee, like Powerade is really good. And like breakfast food is usually pretty good, or just kind of like greasy food in general, like French fries and pizza and shit like that. I mean, some people do swear by the hair of the dog. I kind of get the idea of it, where it's like you fix the feeling of the hangover by just getting drunk again. Therefore, you have the pleasant feeling of being drunk rather than the unpleasant feeling of being hungover. And it works temporarily, but when the drunkenness goes away, I'm like twice as shitty feeling as I was before. I usually don't get hangovers. It's just usually I sort of cross over a threshold where I can get up to the threshold and be fine, but as soon as I get over the threshold, it's like the end of it. It's over with. I'm a wrap. Pedro and the Masters of the Universe. New sub came from Natalie's channel. Just saying hello. What's up? Was that recent or was that like a while back when I was on her live stream? Ginger is also common. I guess I haven't tried it that much. T1J, the only thing I have to eat is pasta and I have no money for food. What do I do? I guess you just eat pasta then. You can see if a friend or a family member can give you can help you out with a meal. And you can get some food for like, if you mean like you have literally zero money, then yeah. If you mean you just have a very small amount of money, you usually can get something, as long as you are not too choosy. About to destroy my liver. I did that a couple days ago. All I have is salt and butter. I feel like you can make pasta taste perfectly fine with just salt and butter. From from a comment. That's cool. Yo, I've realized that a lot of people find other YouTubers through their comments. So I've been like commenting more on stuff. And also I noticed that it's people enjoy when they see YouTubers that they recognize commenting on videos that they like. So I just wanted to try to do that more. But I do it too. Like when I see like a comment from someone, and like a lot of times you can tell that someone is like a YouTuber just by their name or their icon. It just kind of looks YouTubey. It doesn't look like commenty. It looks YouTubey. So sometimes it's interesting, especially if they say something funny or smart. Weird question. Do you know any videos that explain the concept of white privilege pretty well? I have a friend that doesn't get it. I can't think of one off the bat, but there has to be one. I want to say that Marina, from Marina Shut Up, I want to say that she did one, but maybe not. I might be thinking of something else. But I'll try to remember to look that up. I've always wanted to make a video about privilege, and I might now. But for the longest, I was like, I'm not doing that because I just don't want to deal with the 90 response videos and all of the shitty comments that I'm gonna get. But I've sort of removed myself from. I've sort of opted out of that whole sort of back and forth sort of SJW whatever conversation. So I'm a little bit, and also the whole response video culture has kind of shifted onto other things. Like it's a little bit different now. So I may be more willing to do it. It's also, there's also the matter of I'm trying to make more stuff for my audience these days, and I feel like my audience mostly understands it, but maybe there's some people that might benefit from it, especially if I can find some things to say about it that hasn't been said a million times already. By the way, thanks for the comment, Michelle. I did see that. I'm trying to do better about making more videos. Am I tired of all these superhero movies? Nope. I'm super here for superhero movies. And I may feel that way because that's kind of the only movies that I watch now. I mean, that's kind of an exaggeration, but it's also kind of not. Like, I don't really go to the movie theater except to watch superhero movies. Can you make a video about living in Alabama? I kind of did that already, but it wasn't. It was kind of more of a funny video than actually serious, like actually gaining any insight. But I did make a video about it called "I'm from Alabama." You may want to check that out. But there's not much insight to be gained from it. It's just kind of me messing around. I think the right-wing people I know actually understand privilege better when I relate it to my disability. Yeah, well, I don't think it's that hard to understand at all. But there's the combination of people not doing a great job of explaining it, or sort of explaining it in a very hostile way. And then at the same time, there's people who just outright refuse to listen to people who are trying to explain it in a correct way. So it's kind of a weird situation. Like, there's some people that as soon as you say the word privilege, they just automatically tense up and just close off to anything further you say. But the concept of privilege is very, very simple to understand. Like, really, you know, privilege, the word privilege is like, it has a very simple definition, and I think we can all see how it applies to life. Do you think millennials are more entitled than previous generations? I don't think I've made a video specifically about that. I made a video where I mentioned it. I made a video called "Is Everyone Special?" where I kind of talk about millennials. But I do think that millennials are more entitled, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Do I think Louis C.K. should come back? Probably not. I don't think that would work out for him anyway. Someone always asks about Jordan Peterson every stream. It's just so weird that people like just want to know what I feel about him. But honestly, I don't follow him enough to really have an informed opinion. Like, he seems like sometimes he says smart stuff, and it seems like sometimes he says really, really ridiculous stuff. And also, like, he's, you know, from what I understand, like, he's a super really Christian dude that's like always talking about Christian morals and I don't know, that sort of thing, which I don't get into that at all. Like, that's not my jam at all. Yeah, ContraPoint's Baltimore video is it's like one of the best videos on YouTube. Yeah, I'm probably gonna see Black Panther, although I probably won't see it opening night. So my professor is very much against my leftist belief, and he strawmans a lot of what feminists and other leftist center people believe, and I don't want to outright argue with him in class. What should you do? I mean, what's the problem? Just don't argue with him. Just because you have a view doesn't mean you have to share it. That's like one of the great lessons I've learned. Just because you have something to say doesn't mean you have to say it. Doesn't mean you should say it. And sometimes you very often shouldn't say it in order to avoid unnecessary confrontation, especially in situations where it's best for you to remain in the good favor of this person. I didn't know that was her least viewed video. That's interesting. But that's kind of how YouTube works. But the very fact that ContraPoints is able to get so many views on all of our videos in general is just really cool, because I think it sort of defies everything that how I would describe what works on YouTube. So that's just a testament to her ability to just make really great videos, but also make people really excited about her videos. So good on her. ContraPoints always gets mentioned every stream, which I don't mind because I'm a big fan. Am I more into PC or console games? Well, probably PC, but I don't have anything against console games. I just don't have any consoles right now because I'm poor. I have a Wii U, which I don't really play that much. I played it a while when Breath of the Wild came out, and I actually kind of want to play it again. But also, I don't have a TV that works. My TV is broken, and I need to get a new TV. But as I mentioned before, I'm poor. I mean, there's a lot of really great games on console. Like, you can't really hate on console. And the games, I'm a really big fan of fighting games, as many of you might know. And fighting games are like always better on console. But it's becoming more and more the case that the great games that are released on console are also released on PC. Do I miss the old CRT monitors and TVs? Not really. Is it better on console because of the controller? Not really, because you can hook up a controller to your PC. But it's just that the games are just optimized better on console usually. Like, you don't have to worry about, because with fighting games you need everything to run perfectly. You need your inputs to be on point. You need like lag to be very minimal. And to be fair, that's not necessarily a console thing. That could just depend on the game. And also, just more people play on console, and I guess that's not really a fault of the PC. But when you play a game, you want some people to play with. I think one of the reasons that more people play on console is because tournaments are held on console, which is more convenient. And also, console is just more conducive to local multiplayer, which is important for fighting games. Some random geek, thank you for the $2. This is for get a T1J TV fund. That's awesome. Well, you know, maybe we'll get there, because I'd like to get a TV. What do I think of Pop Culture Detective? It's pretty good. I've only watched a couple videos though. Tempted to get a fighting stick. Was one that works with both Switch and PC. There's a fighting stick for the Switch? Yeah, I want to get a Switch. I probably will end up getting a Switch. Historically, it's interesting because I've never I've never been like specifically a Nintendo person. I really like Smash Brothers and I really like Zelda, but that's pretty much it. But I always get the Nintendo console. Like I didn't get PS4 or Xbox One or PS3. I did get a Xbox 360, but I got all the Nintendo consoles. I got the Wii, I got the Wii U. So I'm probably gonna end up getting the Switch. Which country would you want to live in outside the US? I don't know. Maybe like any of them. As I've talked about in the stream before, if I'm in a position to, I probably am going to move to a country outside of the US because the US is just kind of fucked up. I'm not into it. Zelda is overrated. Well, I definitely don't agree with that. Some Zelda games are better than other games than others, but do I think Ocarina is game of the year? Is that what you mean? I don't think that Ocarina is the best Zelda game, but it's probably like the greatest Zelda game. If you kind of understand what I mean by that. Breath of the Wild for me was game of the year, but I didn't play a lot of the contenders for that. Bork Fort, thank you for $5. Best whiskey. I'm way too poor to make a judgment on that. I always buy cheap whiskey. But whiskey's fine. I like Crown Royale. That's probably the most expensive whiskey that I drink regularly. I don't think that, in terms of video games in general, I definitely don't think Ocarina is the greatest of all time. In terms of Zelda games, it's probably the most important Zelda game, and it's probably the greatest Zelda game. But I think that Zelda: A Link to the Past is, I like it better, and I think it's a better game. And honestly, I think Majora's Mask is better. But in terms of just like importance and influence and just changing the landscape of video games, Ocarina is, I think it's clearly number one. Reading any good books recently? Not really. I go through these phases where I'm like, I need to read more. I'm gonna read more, and then I'll read a book, and then I'll just stop, and I just won't read another one for like a year. But the type of stuff that I'm interested in reading these days are sort of almost like self-help type books that make me smarter and like teach me useful skills. That's kind of the stuff that I'm into. I don't read fiction really. What are my thoughts on Skyward Sword? It's fine. It's probably I'm trying to think. It may be the worst of the mainstream Zelda games, but it's still good. Like I still thoroughly enjoyed it. Twilight Princess might be worse though, in my opinion. I feel like a lot of people don't like Skyward Sword. Have I played Cuphead? Just a little bit, like at a friend's house. It's really cool. Have I ever played Dishonored? Nope. Yeah, audiobooks are definitely like pretty amazing. I just need to find a situation in which I can listen to them. Like I have an old car, so there's no like aux cord and the tape player is broken, so it's hard for me to listen in my car. And when I'm on my computer, I'm usually doing stuff. Like I watch a lot of YouTube, so it's like hard to watch YouTube and listen to an audiobook. Maybe I could do it in the shower or something. My favorite game of all time is Metal Gear Solid 3. And Metal Gear Solid is probably my favorite gaming franchise of all time. But I think Metal Gear Solid 3 is a perfect game. I like Crown Royal, but I love Crown Royal Black and Crown Royal Vanilla. I'll agree with that. Crown Royal Vanilla is amazing. It's so good. All right, Debo, thank you for coming to the stream. Am I watching the Olympics? No. I definitely don't agree that Metal Gear Solid 2 is better than Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid 2 is probably my least favorite Metal Gear Solid game. I guess not counting like the PSP games. Cuz Portable Ops is pretty bad. Peace Walker is pretty good. Who's my favorite non-political YouTuber? I don't know. Do the Vlog Brothers count as political YouTubers? They talk about politics sometimes. But I mean that's like my favorite YouTube channel, period. I really like Community Channel. That she's up there. I've also been watching a lot of Jenna Marbles lately. Like I just think that she's really entertaining and cool. Like I want to be her friend. And I think she's really funny. The writing was pretty fucking annoying, but I really like the story. Yeah, the story. I mean, I love Metal Gear Solid 2. Don't get me wrong. I just think it's probably my least favorite if I have to list them. It has like the most convoluted story. You have to play as a super annoying character for the whole game. You know, so there's reasons why I feel like it's not as good as the others. Yeah, I think I like Metal Gear Solid 4 more than 2. But I mean, they're all great games. Don't get me wrong. And especially when it first came out, trust me, I played the shit out of it. It was pumped. Or I was pumped. I was so pumped. I remember when they first announced Metal Gear Solid 2. Like I was running in circles in anticipation for this game. But then they came out with 3 and I realized, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. It's so good. Metal Gear Solid 5 is good too. But of course, you know, it's kind of objectively an unfinished game, but I still, you know, I still love it. Do I watch any disabled YouTubers? Annie Elaney. Never heard of that one. I'll check it out. The only one that I watch semi-frequently is Ricky Pointer. I've played Subsistence. I don't know what's going on with Konami. They just kind of went off the deep end. Like, I would love to know what went on what went on behind the scenes for them to make all the decisions they made. Metal Gear Solid 4 does have a lot of cutscenes, but that's part of, and they have a lot of long cutscenes. Like, there's probably like fucking 15 hours of cutscenes in that game. But I mean, that's part of why I love the series, because it's like half a movie and half a game. But I will say, I will give you that the first 3 games, they did a lot better job of telling the story through the gameplay rather than just making you watch the game, basically. Jim Sterling made a video about it. That'd be interesting to watch. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just all about money. Do you think Death Stranding will be any good? Probably. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't have any reason not to think so. I mean, these days it's hard to release a game that's just bad, just like straight bad. Like, there's just so much pressure to sell your game. So it's just hard to even do it. Like, sometimes games try stuff and it doesn't work that well, but everything is generally playable if it's like a, you know, a major title. Do you think video games are an art form? Yeah, just as much as any other media. Do I play Destiny? Nope. Yeah, see, I feel like Death Stranding is gonna be just another game that is good because of the story. Like, it's gonna be fascinating just because of the story, regardless of the gameplay. But the gameplay, I guess they haven't told us that much about it, but I'm sure it's gonna be interesting. Representation in video games. Well, I think it's getting a lot better, and I think the reason it's getting better is because more types of people are making video games. And that's always been my argument is I don't think that what we need to do is criticize the work that is being made because it lacks representation. Because I think it's kind of unfair to expect someone to make something from a point of view that's not their own. Like, people can try that, some people do try that, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. But I think all that we can hope to expect from someone is to make something from their point of view. So the way that you fix the problem of poor representation is including more points of view. And we've seen that people who play video games will buy video games. They don't care who makes them. They just want to play good stuff. So we just have to let people make stuff. And as with most industries, at least in America, you know, a lot of these fields are dominated by certain types of people. So, and that goes into a whole another issue, because we can ask, why are they dominated? Why aren't more people allowed in? And that's, you know, that's a different issue. You think video games are the most inclusive media? I don't know. I don't, probably not. I mean, it's getting a lot better now because there's so much indie stuff going on. So it's like anybody can just make video games now and sell them. So it's probably a lot better now. But you know, if you compare it to like music, for example, like music is super diverse. Even popular music. So I mean, maybe that one is more inclusive. Favorite flavor of ice cream? Cookies and cream, 100%. So good. Can video games function as serious commentary or allegory? Well, yeah, of course. I mean, the game we were just talking about, Metal Gear Solid, is very clearly commentary. I don't think anyone can dispute the fact that it functions as commentary. Cookie explosion ice cream. I don't know if I've had that, but it sounds amazing. Theater is inclusive. I could see that. I don't know that much about theater. Hello, Yato. You ever made an ice cream sandwich milkshake? I strongly recommend it. Ice cream sandwich milkshake. How do you do that? You just put some ice cream sandwiches in a blender? I love ice cream sandwiches, by the way. Video games are sometimes looked down upon as juvenile. Why is this, do you think? I think it's just because of the history of it. Video games started out being marketed as toys to children. So there's and that's always been sort of the mindset of it, especially towards older people. It's like, oh, kids play video games. But I think that especially in the 80s and 90s, as people got older and still kept playing video games, people started to understand, like, oh, we don't have to market this to children because adults love them too. But it's hard to shake those old things, marketing, things like that. It's pretty crazy how, advertising controls our perception of things, it's specifically because of advertising that, for example, we associate pink with girls, for example. And it's the same thing with video games, I suspect. They marketed it to children, so it was associated with children. My dad sometimes tells me that I'm too old to play video games, but he gets more and more wrong with each year. I guess that's technically true. How's your league climb going? It's going all right. I kind of hadn't been playing as much recently. I mean, not for any reason, but as I suspected, I pretty easily got from bronze to silver, but my win rate has been not as good since I got to silver, but I still think that I can climb. Does this attitude hinder video games' ability to have serious messages? I don't think so. I feel like people are coming around on video games just because we realize that everybody plays them. I think another problem with video games is that they often are hard to take very seriously because they just aren't. they focus so much more on gameplay than the actual message. That's why I kind of appreciate games that actually do put a lot of effort into the story and the message and whatever they're doing. What happened to my room filled with all those drawings on the wall? Am I outdated with this channel? With all the drawings on the wall, I used to have a room with a bunch of posters on the wall. Is that what you're talking about? And if so, yeah, you're very outdated because I haven't lived there in like 3 years, maybe. I kind of was thinking about trying to decorate a wall, but my setup right now is really weird, and there's no really good place for me to film. Yeah, it's often. I mean, I think that's the problem with video games in general. Is they're often very amateur in many ways. Like the stories are usually poorly written. The performances are usually pretty amateurish. Because and you know they just a lot of that is just because they just don't have the budgets that they have for like a TV show or a movie. Like it's unlikely that someone's gonna spend like $100 million to make a video game. You know. But that could change, you know, if video games ever become as mainstream as movies or television. That could change. Do you follow the YouTube channel Video Games as Lit? It's pretty small, but the content is pretty great. No, I never heard of it. I'll check it out. Did I play Undertale? I have not played Undertale. I've been meaning to, but I haven't yet. Everyone says that it's amazing. It's so hard to imagine that it's amazing, but literally everyone says that it's amazing. So I guess I should play it. And the marketing, yeah. I didn't play Life is Strange. I didn't even realize that they spent that much on like the Call of Duty type games. It just seems like they would never recoup that, because even Call of Duty, it's like, okay, you make like 50 million, but I guess well, actually I guess Call of Duty like sells 50 million units, so I guess they would recoup that. I don't doubt that video games are more successful in TV and movies, but they're definitely not more uh, accepted into mainstream society, like as just normal thing. Like they're getting there, but they're definitely not on the same level. It's crazy that people keep buying Call of Duty games. Because I feel like everyone seems to agree that they're not great. Watch any cartoons or animated shows? Well, I don't watch much. I don't watch many shows in general. So I guess not really. I watched Rick and Morty. That's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of amazing video games with amazing stories, and those I appreciate those, and those are the ones that really make the case for video games as high art. Although I think that really cool gameplay can also be very artistic, like a game like a game like Braid, for example. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, that's very good. Since I brought up your room, are you content with where you are now? How successful would you consider yourself from then and now? Well, it's kind of an interesting thing because that around about that time was when I first started to really blow up on YouTube. So at the beginning of that time, you know, I was still sort of just a smallish dude, smallish channel with a couple hundred subscribers. Um, Not making any money or anything. And then I had a bunch of videos that really took off. And the thing about it is that really started my career as a YouTuber. And during that time, I was getting way more views than I am now. And I guess for a few months at least, I was making more money. The money was definitely less consistent down the road, but like when you have AdSense, and this is before all the demonetization stuff. When you have AdSense and also your videos are getting hundreds of thousands of views, you're making a lot of money, especially back then when ads paid more. So in many ways, I was more successful back then than I am now. But now I have sort of this audience that kind of stuck around, and I have a more consistent income and viewership, and it just feels more like it doesn't have the same excitement as when it first happened, but it just feels more legit now. Electric Low Main, thank you for the $5. What up, T1J? I got my Black Panther tickets yet? No, I'm gonna wait. I'm definitely not gonna see it uh opening night, but I'll probably wait like a week or two after. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll wait more. I'm gonna see it for sure though. Mm-hmm. Hey, check this out. I got some little fucking wristbands. I just found a website where you can make them for cheap, so I just made a bunch of them. Maybe I'll sell them or something, or give them away to patrons or something. I'm not sure, but those exist now. Is Black Panther a reactionary move on the part of Marvel in response to allegations of non-diverse casts? Well, no, because the Black Panther movie was announced like 5 years ago. But also, probably, I mean, I think that their decision to make it like an actual black movie with black everything, black director, black everything, is probably very intentional, um, which I'm okay with. Where can we get them? I'm not sure yet, but I will let you know very soon. I'll probably just sell them on my website. But I also may like give them away to patrons. Does every YouTuber get a complimentary pillow from YouTube or something? If I got it from VidCon, so if you go to VidCon and you're a featured creator, they just give you stuff, and that's one of the things that they give you. At least the year I went, but each year you usually get some kind of YouTube gear. Did I see the director's past movies? I have not. How does Marvel not have a diverse cast? Not sure if serious. But this is a lot of this is not, films so much as just Marvel's characters. And again, this is a matter of people writing from their own point of view. The early runners of Marvel were white dudes, so most of their characters were white dudes. To be fair, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and all those people were very, very visionary for their time. Like they made a lot of like very strong female and minority characters in a time where they really didn't have to sell comics. So I give them that. But they also made a whole bunch of white dudes. See any great movies recently? Not really, but I haven't seen any movies recently. I watched Sin City again recently, and that's a great movie. But I'm at this point I'm just down for superhero movies. So and I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been very good with most of their movies. Like I think every movie they've made is at least like a 7 out of 10, and most of them are, I would say, are like 8 or 9 out of 10. The only one that I think I just don't think is good is probably Iron Man 3. Like that's the only one when I left I was like, man, that wasn't really good. But all the other ones that I'm thinking of right now, I can't even think of in the Marvel Cinematic Universe specifically. There are some other bad superhero movies for sure. I actually didn't see Ant-Man. I missed that one. Um, I heard it was fine though. We hardly see in media mixed race people. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I guess that's rare. But I mean, I feel like I don't know. If you could pick one person to never have to hear or talk about again, who would it be? Um, I don't know. Sargon of Akkad. Well, it certainly sounds like you don't like superhero movies. Yeah, I'm definitely hearing more about Jordan Peterson recently, but I just don't, I guess I don't keep up that much. And he doesn't seem to be like actively malicious like some other people. I was thinking Trump, but Trump's the president, so you kind of you have to pay attention to what he's doing. I guess you don't have to, but I feel like I have to. If in this hypothetical, this would mean that he would not be the president anymore, then we'll go with that. But I don't know. I mean, as far as action movies go, I don't know. Uh, I feel like superhero movies are as good as any good action movie or any good sci-fi movie, or at least the good ones are. And most of the stories are pretty solid because they're almost all of them are based on like very popular comic book story arcs. Do you think Pence would be worse or better than Trump? He would definitely be better. For one, I don't think that he would start a war with North Korea, but maybe he would. Like literally, just that makes him better, makes him preferable. What I think about Bill Burr, uh, I think that he's very funny. He gets on this bullshit like way too often about how everybody's offended. And this is really funny to me because Bill Burr is like a very successful comedian and he's always talking about how everybody gets offended over everything. Meanwhile, he's selling out every show he does, very successful. It's like obviously people aren't that offended, dude. But that's the only annoying thing about him. Beyond that, I think he's funny. He's a good comedian. I don't think that any of the Marvel movies probably qualify as, one of the best movies ever. They don't need to be in the big picture best picture nomination. But I think many of them are quite good. Do you have any opinion on the upcoming Ready Player One movie? Nope. I don't know anything about Ready Player One. I know that Lindsay Ellis said that the book was bad. And I believe anything Lindsay Ellis says. How do you feel about the pseudo-intellectual anti-SJW spear in their debate club? I don't think people like Andy Worski are well versed in philosophy to debate. Well, I'm kind of over the anti-SJW thing. I'm not even sure what they're up to these days. It used to be something that was really concerning to me, and I used to talk about it a lot. But to me, I kind of just see them sort of like flat earthers. They're just like some weird people who say a bunch of dumb shit. And I think they try to bait you into having conversations with them and legitimizing their points with responses. And I just try to avoid that. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely cash grabs, but I think that they do try to make them good because there's a lot of bad superhero movies. A very good example is just comparing Marvel movies to DC movies. They're both cash grabs, but you can tell that that Marvel is trying much harder to make the movies decent than DC is. Wonder Woman was good though. I like that one. The minute you research any of the Manosphere's claims, their entire argument falls apart. Yeah, that's usually the case. You think we'll have a Democratic House or Senate after the midterms this year? Probably not. But who knows? If I had to bet, though, I'd bet no. Justice League was bad. Batman vs Superman was bad. Suicide Squad was bad. Suicide Squad was terrible. I liked Wonder Woman though. Lego Batman is good. I'll give you that one. That's one of the beautiful things about having dreads is, or at least having freeform natural dreads like I do. You never have to go to a hairstylist, ever. Wonder Woman is part of a secret conspiracy to make the world realize that women are people. Very sneaky. I think mainly I just have a crush on Gal Gadot. Like, it was kind of hard to concentrate on the movie because she's so attractive to me. But I think the movie was good. What are some things you're excited about this year? I don't know. The Black Panther movie? Beyond that, I'm not really sure. I'm just excited to try out some new things in my career, I guess. Why do you think that so many people are angry to the point where we can have things like the alt-right and Trump being elected? Well, if you look at history, anytime that there is a big rise in progressive thought or a specific progressive movement, there's always a reactionary movement there to oppose them. It happens every time. And I would say that we're in a period where progressive ideas are very strong and progressive movements are happening all over the place. So I would expect there to be a strong backlash to that. And I think that that's what's happening. Do you ever watch Destiny, the YouTuber? Sometimes. I kind of stopped watching. I'll watch if he has someone that I actually think is interesting on there. But I kind of got sick of just watching him debate like actual like ridiculous people. Like I don't want to watch that. What do I think of the Romani refugee situation? I'm not educated enough on that to have a very intelligent opinion. When are we gonna get Wonder Man? I feel like Wonder Man is the name of an actual superhero. I'm getting the feeling that the community here doesn't like MGTOW. I don't know about the rest of the people in the chat. I think it's pretty silly though. And it's usually like pretty deeply misogynistic, at least every time I hear people talking about it. What are your thoughts on Armored Skeptic? I haven't watched Armored Skeptic in a while, so I'm not sure what he's up to these days. But he was definitely a big part of the sort of infiltration of shitlords on YouTube, the YouTube political conversation. He obviously wasn't as bad as some of the other people, but he was the same. You know, he was pushing a lot of the same misinformation and nonsense as a lot of the other people. But he also made a lot of videos that I thought were cool. I think I'm still subscribed to him actually. Like when he actually did actual skeptical videos, skepticism videos, they were usually good. But then when he started talking about politics and stuff, and things that he clearly was not very informed about, that's when it became super yawn worthy. Do you think it's hypocritical to be pro-feminism but prefer to be in a relationship with traditional gender roles? I don't think it's hypocritical, no. That's another thing that I will give our Armor Skeptic credit for. He often later comes back and says, hey, I probably shouldn't have did that, or I got this wrong, things like that. So I'll give him that. He does that pretty frequently actually. But it's better to just not talk about shit that you don't know anything about in the first place. That's a better strategy in my opinion. Yeah, see, like I'll watch something like Destiny and Theron Meyer. I haven't seen that, but I feel like Theron Meyer is a good faith person, even though I probably disagree with a lot of stuff that she says. But I'm not gonna watch Destiny and fucking no bullshit, or fucking Sargon, or fucking oh, what's the kid that was talking about how it's okay to be a pedophile, that sort of thing. Like, I'm not into that. It's just not interesting anymore. As an anti-theist, what is your opinion of Sikhi and other religions that frown upon dogmatic rules or imposing their beliefs? Yeah, Amos Yee. Well, I don't know much about that particular one. But you know, something that lacks those two things will obviously be a lot more favorable to me. But there are more things about religion that I dislike than just the fact that people impose their beliefs on people and the fact that their rules are dogmatic. Like, I think faith in general is a very dangerous concept. And I think just the belief that you have access to some kind of objective truth about the universe is also very, very dangerous. And it's an idea that shouldn't be encouraged, in my opinion. If I was to join a religion, what would be it? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if if there's an answer to that question. Is there a religion? I kind of like a lot of the Greek mythology because their gods are flawed. And I think the fact that, for example, Christians say that their God is literally perfect and like literally can't make mistakes, like that's part of what makes it so fucked up. Like, how about you say, like the Greeks, yeah, I mean, this guy's pretty cool, but he does some fucked up shit sometimes, you know, what are you gonna do? I'm kind of into that. I think I saw that with Destiny and Maddox. I don't think anybody that knows what they're talking about when it comes to science would say that they have like access to objective, unchanging truth, because that's like the opposite of what science is. The whole point of science is that you what you think to be true, you're ready to change that as soon as you get new evidence. Like, that's the whole point. you could convert to the religion of neo-Marxist postmodern Satanism. I don't know the words that you were typing. I think Satanism is pretty obnoxious. Well, not obnoxious, but I think it's pretty corny. Yeah, the concept of white genocide is hilarious. And it's funny because these are the same people that accuse feminists of using bad terms and alarmist terms. Meanwhile, they're over here talking about white genocide. I don't even like the sentence "are anti-SJWs the new SJWs" because it implies that SJWs are or were ever a thing. My dad is black and he thinks white people are oppressed more than black people, and I don't know what to think about that. Yeah, I don't know about all that. What do I think of furries? I don't know. As long as they're not hurting anybody, go for it. Martin Luther King would absolutely be called a SJW today. I was thinking of doing, I wanted to do a video. Like before I was deciding I'm just not going to be in this conversation anymore. I wanted to do a video about called like people who would be called SJWs if they were around today, or like people in groups. Martin Luther King 100%. The band Rage Against the Machine, they would be considered huge SJWs. Yeah, that commercial made me uncomfortable. I didn't like that at all. What do you think about white people calling black alt-righters Uncle Toms? I don't know, man. White people sometimes just need to relax. Like, I kind of hate the phrase stay in your lane, but it's like, stay in your lane, dude. Like, you have to acknowledge what your perspective and lack thereof actually affords you the ability to actually do and say. I don't know. My personal view is generally not to tell like other groups of people how they need to live their life or how they need to solve the problems that are facing them as a group. I pretty much try not to do that. I just think it's just not my place, and I think other people should do that. I mean, it's totally possible that an individual either is unaware of the fact that they're disadvantaged, or they just don't actually experience disadvantages in their life. But fortunately, a lot of this stuff can be supported with, you know, with actual data. Boom. With you and Demotivator, maybe others refocusing on less SJW oriented content, do you think maybe the lefty YouTube community is burning out and needs to find more fertile ground to cover? No, I don't think it's burning out. We just actually, in my opinion, I just think that progressives on YouTube had very bad priorities, and some of them still do. I think that a lot of them were trying to fight this sort of reactionary YouTubers by doing the same kind of content as them, basically reacting and, you know, basically just making sort of these reaction videos where you like focus on the person rather than the idea. You say, here's why this person is wrong. But what you need to focus on is the ideas. You know, talk about the things that are important to you. Like there's been so many videos made about just like specific people. Like instead of, you know, making a video saying here's why this person is wrong about rape culture, instead I think just make a video about rape culture. If that's the thing you care about. I think some people they like the conflict and they like going after each other, but I don't like it. I'm not into it. Like I talk about different things on Twitter and even in these live streams. You know, people ask questions, I'll answer them, I'll talk about stuff. But the content that I want to be on my actual channel, I want that to be conversations about things that I actually am interested in, I actually think are important or useful or interesting. So I don't want to use my platform to talk about this dumb shit. And I don't think that means that the leftist YouTube, you know, is running out of ideas or, you know, we're not talking about things anymore. It's just we just need to focus on different things. Or we just need to reframe the topics. I saw that Logan Paul was demonetized, but I don't know the details behind it. What am I interested in? I'm interested in a lot of stuff. Honestly, if you look at some of my most recent videos, you can kind of see the sort of things, or at least the sort of things that I could be talking about. Like I'm interested in politics, so I'm still gonna make videos about politics. But I'm also interested in, you know, human dynamics, relationships. I'm interested in science. I made a video about football, you know, because there was a topic on it that I was interested in. Just anything that I think is worth discussing. I've seen Creationist Cat a couple times. It seemed alright. I have not seen The Shape of Water. Have I considered studying psychology? I mean, I've read a little bit about it very casually. I mean, I think it's a fascinating subject. Mm. Who would be a worse president, Trump or Palin? Don't even joke about that. I don't even know. Palin seems to be less actively malicious than Trump. She's probably equally incompetent and equally uninformed, but probably less actively terrible. I think with news and stuff, you just have to you have to read a lot of different sources and just compare them. Like, I would never suggest that someone get all their news from one source. What do you think of the idea of Oprah being president? I have no idea, because I'd have no idea what Oprah's policy positions are or what her platform would be. I like Oprah, so maybe she would say a lot of stuff that I agree with, but also she might have a lot of stuff that I don't agree with. What, in my opinion, are some overrated movies? Well, probably the most overrated movies, and maybe the most overrated thing of all time, is the original Star Wars trilogy. We'll see how the chat reacts to that one. I'm pretty sure Oprah said that she wasn't going to run for president. What do you think of people like Umar Johnson and Brother Polite? I don't know who those people are. I like the Godfather. Fight Club is also pretty overrated, but I feel like that's less controversial. I feel like more people agree with me on that one. See now, I love Forrest Gump. I'm trying to think of more movies that I think are overrated. I don't know. I don't know. Did I like Deadpool? Yeah, I thought it was fine. It was passable. It was pretty funny. The thing is, I did watch Star Wars as a kid, but I guess I watched it more. I've seen it many times, like, just as I grew up. And I get it. Like, I get why people like Star Wars and the Star Wars universe. You know, it's a pretty, like, It's a pretty fascinating universe with a lot of really cool characters. But the movies are bad. They're like, the plots are really weird. The acting is terrible. Like the effects and all that, the design and stuff, that's all really cool. But just in terms of like a movie, but I get it. I get it. Like the universe is awesome. I don't think that the prequels were good. I have not seen The Last Jedi. As you guys are probably starting to gather, I don't really see that many movies. I will say that I agree with most people in that the Star Wars prequels are very bad. I think that they're all terrible. Much worse uh, than the original series. Star Wars or Star Trek? Well, the only thing that I'm familiar with regard to Star Trek is Star Trek: The Next Generation, the television series, and I think that is vastly superior than anything Star Wars related that I've seen. I saw The Force Awakens and I thought it was fine. In fact, I think it's better than all three of the original movies. Everyone says that Rogue One's really good. I haven't seen it. Isn't having a senior menu ageism? I guess technically, but I think it's fine. What's my favorite video game console of all time? Of all time, definitely the PS2. Classic. A lot of it is nostalgia, I guess, but there's just so many great games on PS2. A lot of which are not, well remembered or well known, but there's like so many really good games. Name a forgotten PS2 game. Well, the first one that came to mind when I said that is Sphinx. Nobody talks about Sphinx. It's amazing. It's kind of like a Zelda clone, but it's really good. No one talks about it. What else? Yeah, the Cursed Mummy. They re-released it on Steam. I didn't know that. The Jack and Daxter games are good. I guess that those are pretty fondly remembered, though. The original Deus Ex, or was that on PS1? It was probably on PC first. You think some Marvel films are overrated? Well, I guess. I think that most of them are good. There's some of them I think that people think are better than I think they are, though. For example, Spider-Man Homecoming was just okay to me, but a lot of people said that it was really great. Eco, yeah, that game's great. But that's another one that I think people fondly remember. Who's my favorite president? I have no idea. I don't think that there is any of them that I just think are super great. Andrew Jackson is by far the most fascinating president, though, because he seemed to be a actual crazy person. But in terms of being good at being the president, he's definitely not that. See, I don't think Avengers is overrated. Avengers is one of my favorite ones. See, I'm a huge Tarantino fan. Like, very, very big Tarantino fan. But I could see how someone might not like. He has a very unique style. So if that style in particular is not is unappealing to you, then I could see. Do you ever feel too caught up with and confused by American politics to educate yourself on international politics? Yeah. I don't follow international politics as much as I want to because there's just like so much going on here. It's just hard to even keep up with everything. But I feel like that's kind of a bad excuse. Like I feel like I could keep up if I wanted to. What's in the briefcase? Well, technically diamonds. But who knows? I mean, that's the beauty of it is it doesn't matter what's in the briefcase. Jackie Brown came on TV the other day. I love that movie so much. It's so good. I could go for a Royale with cheese myself. A Royale with cheese. A light bulb's in the briefcase, yeah. Trump did one good thing though. He got a bunch of people involved in politics, which might lead to some actual change. Yeah, I'll agree with you that there. He made people. I don't think that a lot of people realized that it could get this bad, and now that we know, hopefully that makes people more diligent. I'm when it comes to Tarantino, I may just be fanboy level, so I may not. I probably have a very biased viewpoint because I think like all of his movies are brilliant. Like I feel like none of his movies are bad, or even like anything below great. Have I seen the Irish dub of Pulp Fiction? No, I need to look at that. Yeah, Robert Forster. Everyone's really good in that movie. Honestly, like I think De Niro's performance in Jackie Brown is one of his best performances ever. I fucking love his character in that movie. The Lego Batman movie was best Batman movie. Hey, if we're being honest, it's one of the best Batman movies, if it counts as a Batman movie. Like, I fanboy over superhero movies, but I thoroughly acknowledge that almost none of them are like amazing. But I think all of Tarantino movies are amazing. So the best Batman movie is the animated series. I like that. Yo, the animated series was so good. I forgot how good it was. Like, I think I just saw some. I think someone had an episode or something on VHS or some shit that I saw a few years back, and I was like, man, this is so good. You know what else is good? The X-Men animated show from the '90s. It still holds up today. The best Batman movie is the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Nah, this is the problem with Batman and Robin. Like, I understand what they're doing. It's like, okay, we're gonna make an over-the-top campy Batman movie, but there's a way to do that, you know? They just made a bad movie. They didn't make a comically campy movie. They just made a bad movie. It's a fine line. Like, honestly, I think Batman Forever, the previous movie, did better what they were trying to do. Not that Batman Forever is great or anything, but it did better what Batman and Robin was trying to do. And it could have been good because everybody in the movie is good at acting, you know? Yeah, the '60s show is definitely a better example of camp. I think that for camp to work, it can't be so like conscious, you know? Like when George Clooney pulls out the fucking bat credit card, it's like, okay, dude, what are you doing right now? This is just stupid. Like, if it was a cartoon, maybe that would have worked better. Because for some reason, cartoons can get away with like self-conscious stupidity a lot better than live action movies can. Have I seen the series Needs More Gay by Rantasmo? I have seen a few episodes of that. Rantasmo is very good channel. I will say the supercut of all of the ice puns is on YouTube. I'm pretty sure just a supercut of every pun that Arnold Schwarzenegger makes in the movie. It's great. That alone is better than watching the movie. That's the thing. Like, you would think that the movie is campy in a good way if you just watch those clips, but when you actually watch it from beginning to end, you're just cringing the whole time. You're just like, what? Why? Ice to see you. Do cartoons have difficulty displaying seriousness the same way live action has difficulty portraying stupidity? I don't think it's as hard, but sometimes. But I mean, there's like tons of very serious cartoons that, you know, I can say that I didn't have any trouble taking them serious. And another bad thing about Batman and Robin is that it set the bar so low for Batman that I don't think the character has ever recovered. Because basically everyone's like, well, at least we're not as bad as that. Like, if you look at a movie like Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, that movie, it's not like amazing, but it's pretty good. So future Spider-Mans have to be like, well, if we're going to make a Spider-Man movie, it's got to be pretty good. But Batman, nobody tries. Like, I give Nolan credit for trying. And I think, you know, in some ways he pulled it off and in some ways he didn't. Those are some other movies that I think are pretty overrated, by the way. Well, the only one I think that's like really highly rated is The Dark Knight, which I think is very overrated. But it was something. You know, we were still on a Batman and Robin hangover, and we needed a Batman movie we needed a Batman series that was okay. So I'll give you that, Nolan. Yeah, actually that's the first thing I thought of when I saw that question was the Spawn cartoon. What is my favorite Spider-Man? Can we say the 90s animated series again? I thought that the Spider-Man, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies were okay. I think the new Spider-Man is probably going to be the best, though. Yeah, the Spawn cartoon is pretty intense. And it is definitely very serious. I wasn't allowed to watch it when I was a kid, but I still snuck and watched it when I could. Digimon or Pokemon? Probably Pokemon. But to be fair, I don't know that much about Digimon. But Pokemon is the classic. I haven't seen BoJack Horseman. I've heard a lot of people talk about it though. Apparently it's like really depressing. Oops. Waltz with Bashir made me cry. I've not seen it. Like a lot of the times we talk about how we sort of fetishize the 90s and we like overrate things because of nostalgia. But when I like go back, and maybe it's still nostalgia, but when I go back, a lot of that stuff holds up, man. Yu-Gi-Oh versus Pokemon. Well, I was definitely more into Yu-Gi-Oh, but Yu-Gi-Oh is ridiculous. Like the storyline is very obnoxious and ridiculous. I haven't seen Coco, no. Oh, we're talking about the cards. That's interesting. Then I would probably say Yu-Gi-Oh, but I didn't play that much Pokemon. Yeah, I get people forget a lot of the stupid things from the 90s. Like 90s fashion was pretty bad. Although probably all old school fashion looks kind of weird, but the 90s I think was particularly bad. I think there was a period of the 90s where the music was bad, but then um, I think there was a couple of acts that came and fixed it. Yeah, I guess hip hop was really good. I forgot about that. I was thinking more like rock music. Like if you go back and listen to a lot of that alt rock that was really popular in the 90s, it's like fucking terrible. Do I like Nirvana? I love Nirvana. In fact, Nirvana is probably my favorite band of all time. And maybe a lot of that is probably due to nostalgia. Smashing Pumpkins is fine. They were good. I mean, I'm just talking about a lot of that shit that was popular, like Stained and Our Lady Peace and shit. It's like, what is this music? But sort of, I guess the the 2000s had a lot of bad music too. The inexplicable success of new metal. All right, Yato, thanks for coming to the stream. New Jack Swing. Oh yeah, that's the jam. That's like fucking. That's like, isn't that like Boys to Men and like Black Street and shit like that? Lincoln Park. Did I get to say hi to Fred Durst? I did not, but he's still here. Yeah, for those that don't know, Fred Durst is filming a movie in my city right now, apparently. And like when he's done for the day, he's been checking out a lot of the local spots. So a lot of my friends have been seeing him, but I've missed him so far. What do we call this 2010 to 2020? Well, honestly, I don't know. Because I know that they call it the knots for the before 2010, and I guess that doesn't count anymore. But it's gonna be interesting hearing people talk about like the 20s and the 30s. It's pretty crazy to have lived in two different millennia. Like soon everybody that's alive will have been born in the 90s, or like the vast majority of people that are alive. That's pretty crazy. Just even thinking about the years that people are born is weird. Cause like I was hanging out I was hanging out with a friend of mine that's 24, and you know, just hanging out with her, like she just seems like my peer. I don't really think about it, but I'm 33, so it's like Damn. Like, I was like fucking 9 years old when you were born. Like, I guess she's born in 1994, which is fucking crazy. 1994? I was like fucking, I was like in 5th grade. Like, for younger people, I get it. Like, if I meet someone who's 16, I'm like, oh, that's a kid. But when it's someone who's like in their 20s, that when I talk to them, I feel like I'm talking to another adult. It's pretty interesting to think about. And I always get to I always felt that because I used to work security at a bar, so you have to check IDs and people have to be 21 to get in. And every year I would always just freak out at how you know, I'd be like, "You're born in 1995? What? And you're old enough to drink? What?" Yeah, people in my sort of generation are very interesting time because we got to experience one of the biggest increases in technology um, ever, maybe. Like pre and post internet. Like I think the internet existed when I was a little kid, but it definitely wasn't popular. Like when I was a kid, everybody didn't even have a home computer. Like it was, you know, I think when I was in the late 80s, that's when it became more standard for everyone to have a computer. Now it's like you just have a computer, if not one on your phone. Um, but even the internet, like I remember when I first got the internet. I remember when they first installed the internet on our the computers in schools in the libraries. I remember using card catalogs at the library. Do y'all remember that shit? Have y'all ever even seen a card catalog? Graduated high school in 1994. There you go. I graduated high school in 2003. I remember I had CompuServe, and I used to go in chat rooms. I kind of miss chat rooms. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've even mailed anything. Yeah, I remember. I remember when I first. I, do you remember when uh, phone plans had free nights and weekends? Like, don't call me. Wait till I get my free nights and weekends. Call me after 9. I remember I had this old hideous phone. I think it was Sprint. Yeah, it was definitely Sprint because my mom worked at Sprint for a while, so she always got the hookups on the phones. And it was this hideous brick phone. It was like a flip phone, but it was huge and it was silver and it had like this. It had like this giant antenna on the top. So it's interesting to have been, but even now, like technology is moving forward and forward. But I think people in my generation and around my age are open to all of these advances in technology because we've seen so much. Um, People who are a little bit older might be like, I don't know about that. Like a good example is like the voice things like Google Home and Amazon Echo and stuff. Like that's pretty unique. Like that's something that I would have never have imagined when I was a kid. But we just kind of accepted it. It's like, oh, that's a thing now. That's cool. And it's gonna like that's gonna be like the computer. Everyone's gonna have that. I'm calling it. Everyone's gonna have Alexa in their house or something like it. It's gonna be like just like computers or phones. Everyone's gonna have it. Yeah, my parents had a rotary phone too. That's another thing. Like no one has landlines anymore. And it's funny because companies there's like these companies are still trying to sell people landlines. It's like why? I have zero need for a landline. I mean, we say we're too poor, but then we all went and bought computers, which are pretty expensive. We all bought phones, which can be pretty expensive. I'm cooking 9 pounds of ham meat, and I thought, T1J, are you an omnivore? I am an omnivore. I like meat a lot, but I also like vegetables. It's interesting that security systems are not ubiquitous. I bet that the companies that first introduced home security systems, their goal had to have been to have it in every single home. But it isn't, at least not in my neighborhood. Like I know a lot of people that have home security systems, but I know a lot of people that don't as well. Do I eat meat alternatives often? Not often because I just eat meat. But I'm open to try anything. I had my I was hanging out with a friend and they ordered some kind of it was something with tofu, but I can't remember. And I tasted it. I think it was like fried rice with tofu or some shit like that. Have you ever had Japanese cheesecake? Nope. What do you think of becoming vegetarian to oppose the meat industry? I don't really think it works. Well, I don't necessarily think the idea is that you're gonna just single-handedly overthrow the meat industry by becoming a vegetarian. But I think, especially vegans, you know, for them it's like a movement. So for them it's a process and there's an end goal. So it's not just like, hey, I'm gonna do this one thing, and then hopefully everything changes. But for most people, I feel like it's just a personal symbolic choice, um, because they don't want to contribute in a negative way. I think it's wrong to eat meat, but I've made no effort to stop. Am I better or worse than people who don't think it's wrong? Um, I don't know. I don't really understand that point of view. Like I feel like if I thought it was wrong to do something, then I wouldn't do it. Just join the chat. Are your dreads tied back with your other dreads? Yes, indeed they are. It's one of the beautiful things about having dreads or having long hair in general. You can use your hair to tie up your own hair. Do you think the world could sustain no one eating meat? Do you think there's enough vegan food out there? There's definitely enough food. Like, we can grow unlimited amounts of food. And we also we have way more food than is actually needed for humans, which sucks because a lot of people don't even get any of it. What is your opinion on people who wear Thrasher but don't actually skate? I guess I don't care. You can wear whatever you want. Do you think if you think meat will be a necessity to feed the whole world? Well, I don't think that meat is necessary to feed the whole world, but I also don't think that meat is going anywhere anytime soon. And there's definitely enough food to feed the world. We just have to allocate it in a more equitable way. Would I eat a lab-grown piece of meat? Sure, if it was good. I'm just going with the chat. Although I'm probably going to end the stream not too long, maybe about 15-20 minutes. It's been 2 hours already, I just noticed. And all this talk about food is making me a little bit hungry, to be honest. Would I eat bugs as a meat alternative? Would I? In what situation? I don't currently feel like I need a meat alternative. But I'm open to I'll eat anything if it's good. And if it's food, if it's edible. Favorite fast food. I don't know. Taco Bell probably. Yeah. I think part of it is my fault where I'm not consistent on what time I start. But I try to start around 1 p.m. Central Time, which is 2 hours before now. I wish there was a better way to sort of notify everybody, but I guess, you can't help it. We don't have In and Out here. I've never had it. Do you think the meat industry is corrupt? Corrupt? I don't know. Compared to any other industry, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think so. No, there's plenty of vegan and vegetarian options in Alabama. But I don't feel like I have to do that, so I mean, and I don't want to do it. A burger made out of human shit, that sounds like unsanitary and dangerous, so probably not. Whataburger's pretty good. We do have Whataburger here. And Five Guys. People like swear by In-N-Out though. My guess is that In-N-Out is probably fine. I can't imagine that it's like so amazing compared to every other fast food burger. But y'all are definitely making me hungry. I might have to go find a burger. There's really nowhere nearby that has a really good burger. Well, there's a Hamburger Heaven down the road. That's pretty good. I don't even know if that is Hamburger Heaven in other states? Hardee's is pretty good. There's not one nearby though. What I get when I go to McDonald's, fries. I kind of like the new chicken fingers actually, but I don't really like most of the food at McDonald's. It's one of my least favorite fast food places to go, but their fries are on point. Sonic is pretty good. There's a Sonic near here too. I probably shouldn't eat a burger though, because I have food in my fridge that I can cook. I have some nice salad greens. I can cut up some salad. What's the best, worst menu item I've ever tried at any burger joint? I don't know. It's a lot of time it's hard for me to just say, because I'll kind of eat anything, and it's super rare that I eat something that I just think is disgusting. But you know, most of the stuff at McDonald's is pretty bad. I could go buy a burger and cook it. That way I can make it the way I want. Although I feel like I'm not very good at cooking burgers. Like I feel like it would just be a decent burger. I need to learn how to make it like amazing. I don't think there's a Jack in the Box in my city. Have they changed? I don't know. The fries haven't changed. I've always liked them though. I think they're good. They're like top tier fast food fries in my opinion. But if you have a Rallies slash Checkers, they have the best fries. Their fries are so fucking good. Do you have any place that serves chili on their food? I don't know what Mel's is. I don't know if we have that. Chili? I don't know. I feel like you can probably get that somewhere. Mad Scientist Assistance, thank you for the $2. Canadian, shut up and take my money. Sure thing. We got Church's Chicken. Church's Chicken is cool, but I think I like Popeyes and KFC better. I do like mushrooms on burgers, like grilled mushrooms or just cooked mushrooms of any kind. That sets it off. When I make burgers at home, I always put mushrooms on it. I will say McDonald's is bad, but they at one point for a limited time they had like this mushroom Swiss Angus burger that was delicious. Had a bunch of mayo on it. The mayo sets it off, man. How much money would it take for you to eat stale dog shit on stream? That is not a thing that's gonna happen. I don't even know where I would find that. Mayo versus Miracle Whip. Definitely mayo. Although I'll eat Miracle Whip if it's there. But I like mayo much better. Yeah, you definitely have to have mayo on a fried chicken sandwich, in my opinion. Honestly, you have to have mayo on every sandwich. That's like kind of... I just feel like it's not really a sandwich unless it has mayo on it. But I know a lot of people that don't like mayo. Like, I bet one of my best friends loves, or he he hates mayo. Like, he adamantly hates mayo. But I guess we're going to end the stream within the next 10 minutes or so. Thank you guys for coming to the stream as always. So if you have like one last question or one last comment, we can probably look at a couple of those. You gotta have mayo and mustard together, and ketchup sometimes. I'm not really a big fan of ketchup, but I think that they taste good. I think it tastes good on burgers and only burgers. Next time you eat pulled pork, try it with mustard. Oh, I've done that before for sure. Hope your day's gone well. It's gone well so far. This live stream is pretty much the only significant thing I've done today. Coffee versus tea. I guess coffee. I drink coffee more often, but they're both fine. What about hot dogs and ketchup? Not a fan. Regular mustard versus Dijon. I honestly like regular mustard better than Dijon mustard. And better, yeah, better than spicy brown mustard, all that stuff. I just like regular mustard. That brown mustard to me just tastes kind of weird sometimes. Yeah, I mean, literally, I think the only thing that I eat ketchup on is hamburgers. I don't think I use it for anything else. Maybe like fried catfish or something sometimes, but I would just rather put like hot sauce on it. Dijon mustard definitely isn't fancy. If I can buy something, it's not fancy. So southern. I am southern. Asian or Mexican hot sauce? Definitely Mexican hot sauce for fish. But I'm open to all hot sauces if they're used appropriately. I don't know if you guys remember, but I mentioned that I was gonna make some hot sauce, and I did, and it was delicious. So it was a pineapple jalapeno hot sauce. It was a little less hot than I wanted it to be. I'm probably gonna blend more. Well, I blended one jalapeno, so I may put like 2 in next time. Florida is south of Alabama, and parts of Texas are south of Alabama. There's a Vox video about the use of Grey Poupon in rap lyrics. That sounds like something Vox would made a video about. Have I ever had cheese on apple pie? I don't think so. Only recently subbed. What exactly do you do for a living, if you don't mind sharing? I'm an online content creator. That's my job. Supported majorly by patrons on Patreon, which, if you like the stream and you'd like to help it be more sustainable, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. And this goes out to all of you. It's just a good way to help me continue doing what I'm doing, and helps me be less stressed out about money. And when I'm less stressed out about money, I make better stuff. So that's the thing you can do. Even $1 a month is amazing. Does YouTube Red help out? Yes, it does. Do you think feminism is synonymous for equality? It's not specifically synonymous. I mean, it's a type of equality movement for sure. But obviously it refers to something specific, or else there wouldn't be a different word for it. Yeah, YouTube Red is much better. It supports YouTubers much more than watching ads does. YouTube Red is just a good way to support YouTube and YouTubers as a whole. But if there's like someone that you specifically really like, I would suggest something like Patreon, or buying their merch, or even just donating. If you want to just support like one specific person more than the others. What is your opinion on skeptics attempting to attack the alt-right and failing? I don't know. I don't know if I've seen what you're referring to exactly. Like when you put skeptics in quotes, that leads me to think that you're talking about like reactionary YouTubers. And it seems like many of them don't spend a lot of time attacking the alt-right. How does YouTube Red help? Well, just like with ad revenue, YouTube shares YouTube Red revenue with YouTubers. And I don't know the exact formula, but I do know that a view from a YouTube Red subscriber is worth more money than a view from someone who just watches an ad. Has he been debating them? Interesting. Well, I'm kind of out of the loop with that, as you guys probably know, because I just kind of step back from a lot of those people because they're pretty frustrating. Just so I understand, do you think advocating rights for one gender over another, for whatever reason, is more helpful than advocating rights for all? No, but I don't think that that's what anybody is doing. Advocating for the equality of genders, or advocating for a gender that is marginalized or disadvantaged, yeah, that's better than advocating. Well, it's not even whether it's better, it's just a different thing. But no, advocating rights for one gender over another is not helpful, but that's not what feminism is, and that's not what anybody ever does, ever. So unless they're like actually, you know, like Hitler or something. Do you play MMOs? Sometimes. I like MMOs a lot, but they usually cost money. Well, maybe not these days. But a lot of the good ones cost money. And B, they're just a a big time sink that is hard to deal with. But I've played both of those games and they're both really good. The one that I play the most is WoW though. Like I'm that guy. I play a lot of World of Warcraft and my subscription is currently not active, but I always end up renewing it. Gage Myers, thank you for the $5. Take my money, you capitalist pig. Indeed I shall. Thank you very much. Do you think reactionary skeptics failing, if they ultimately do, positively affects the alt-right? Yeah, I think that if you give a platform to someone with terrible ideas and you fail to demonstrate that those ideas are terrible, then you probably have just helped them. So that's probably true. With your answer in mind, why is it that modern day feminism is claiming that women suffer more than men, children, thus logic dictates advocating for one is not advocating for all? I don't understand the question. Women are definitely disadvantaged more than men. And I think all societies, all human societies. So when you help someone that's disadvantaged, that's not saying they should have more rights than someone else. Like, you understand the distinction. Like, if I have if Billy has 8 cookies and Tommy has 2 cookies and I give Tommy 5 cookies, that doesn't mean that I've taken cookies away from the other person. You understand how that works? But there's different movements for different things. That's why intersectionality is a really important concept, because you know, being a woman is one thing, but women are also other things other than women. Women are also rich or poor. Women are also different races, different cultures, and all of those come with different levels of and different types of advantages and disadvantages. And that's why there's multiple movements that focus on multiple things. If one focuses on righting the wrongs of one segment, they must either split their effort across all to bring everything to speed, or not do that and focus on themselves. I don't understand what you mean. Split their efforts across all what? Like, feminism is just one movement. There's more than one movement. There's other movements that focuses on other things. No one person or one movement should be tasked with trying to solve all of humans' problems. Isn't class a more important thing to worry about other than focusing on certain groups as class includes more people. There are a lot of things to worry about. You don't have to just pick one. If I choose to help you over someone else because I think you need it more, again, there's more than one movement. It's not, feminism is not the only thing that's going on. There's tons of movements, and no one movement or one person should be tasked with trying to help everybody, because it's just not feasible or practical. You get to choose what you decide you want to focus on. Like Mr. Rogers dedicated his life to educating and entertaining children. No one came up to him and was like, well, how come you aren't entertaining adults? How come you're not trying to fix racism, Mr. Rogers? Why aren't you doing that? You're leaving other people out. Well, no, that's not what he wanted to dedicate his life to. Like, you get to choose the thing that you're interested in. And there's enough human beings such that we can all choose different things and tackle a lot of, if not everything, at the same time. It wouldn't, it's not practical to double your efforts across all segments. It's not possible to do. There's too many problems, and there's too many groups. It's just not possible. And I don't even understand how anyone could argue that it's practical or possible. And as I can't remember who said it, it's definitely better to whole ass one thing than to half ass a bunch of things. And I mean, I'm like inherently suspicious of this argument because it's just a very common thing people say of feminists, and I think it's a derailing strategy because it doesn't really make any sense to me. So I don't mean to be dismissive, but I don't think it doesn't make any sense. In fact, I think it's probably much better for individuals to focus on one thing, because that means you're going to be way more knowledgeable about that thing. You're going to be way better at it. And that's how you get people like Mr. Rogers. Is like one of the greatest humans that ever lived. He didn't solve poverty or racism or world hunger, but he inspired and educated millions of children. And, you know, no one is mad at him for that. And this is why this is kind of suspicious, because this only gets said about things like feminism. No one says, hey, LeBron James, why did you dedicate your life to getting good at basketball rather than fixing the world's problems? Huh? Like, people don't say stuff like that. Do I disagree with feminists who downplay the problems that working class or poor men face? Yeah, of course. But I often feel like feminists get accused of saying that when they don't say that. Some people say that. I mean, I feel like that's what I was saying. You seem to be saying that people should be doing everything. But no, what they do is the one small thing that they're most passionate about. Some people do multiple things, but I don't think it's a fair criticism of anybody to say you're not focused on the thing that I think you should be focused on. I think that's just a silly thing. Like, you don't get to tell people what they're passionate about and what they want to devote their time and resources to. So if someone wants to devote their entire life to gender equality, then that's fine. That's what they care about. If someone wants to devote their entire life to entertaining children, that's what they care about. If someone wants to devote their entire life to being very good at a sport, that's fine. That's what they care about. I've seen, and a lot of times these like so-called feminists that say stuff like this are usually just like anonymous people on Twitter. And it's like, I've seen these people on the internet that just say like really bad, stupid stuff. And, you know, like I saw some people not too long ago downplaying the existence of sexual assault against men, for example. But it's just like lunatics on Twitter. Like, this is not the mainstream theory of feminism. Like, that's, you know. Well, I don't know who you're thinking of that claims to represent gender equality and only take on part of the argument. But again, you get to choose what you're focused on. If you want to focus on women's rights, then you can focus on that. You don't get to tell people that they should focus on something else. But yeah, I mean, this is, you know, this is a very common thing that people say, and I just don't. I honestly think it's a disingenuous argument because no one says it to anyone except feminists. I don't know if it's intentionally disingenuous, but it's definitely not very well thought out. No one tells other people that they're focused on the wrong thing because they've chosen something that you don't like or something. But yeah. All right. I'm going to go now. We got a little caught up in that conversation because it's just a thing that that people say a lot, and it's like pretty frustrating. Like, I think a good way that you can tell some of these arguments, if they only apply, if they're only used against one group of people but not anybody else, you should be suspicious of stuff like that. But anyway, thank you for coming to my stream as always. Follow me on my social media if you want to. Feel free to email me if you'd like to have a more in-depth chat. hello@theonejanitor.com is the email. And I'll see you guys next time.